Welcome back to Omni Garage. So today we are going to do something a little bit different. We have got the new trim coating by Armour Detail Supply. So thank you very much to Armour Detail Supply for sending this out. They sent it out to us quite a couple of weeks ago, just before this product was released. So appreciate them for sending that out. These thoughts and opinions are our own. We weren't paid for this, but they did send this courtesy free of charge. So here I've got the Subaru, real dirty engine bay, but that's not the point. We're going to basically restore this trim here, so the cowling below the windscreen here. We're going to take the windscreen wipers off, so I've already taken the little caps off, but we'll pull those two things off just to give us a little bit more room and a little bit more accessibility, and then we are going to give this cowling a little bit of a clean up, see if we can remove some of these water spots, and then put this trim on and show you the results that this new trim coating from Armour Detail Supply can do for you. So in the trim coating world, we have used, and we often do use, Solution Finish. This is a product that we have quite a good amount of experience with. So this trim here on this car was done sort of 7 months ago. It's still holding up, it's really well. So we're going to be very interested to see what the new Armour Detail Supply trim coating is like, comparing it to the option that we have quite a lot of experience with and an option that we are quite happy with. So let's get stuck into cleaning this up and getting that on.
Now, to get a good finish here, we need to make sure that we have everything out of the way. So we're going to take these wiper arms off. Super easy.
Super easy if you got me the right size.
We got the wrong socket. We've gone through about 5 sockets already.
What size do you reckon that is?
I thought it was a 13.
It can't be. So 13 must be a 14, but that doesn't make sense.
Well, they're not in order in there either. God, they all fell out. So we want to make sure that we have these wiper arms out of the way so we can actually get good access. Otherwise, we're trying to have to fiddle around with the trim coating underneath those arms. These are really easy to take off. Have you ever taken these off before?
No, real easy to take off.
They are real easy.
Oh,
that bolt could be quite seized on there. There we go. So we're just going to pull these wiper arms away, and then we can get some good access. We could also coat these wiper arms, but I think they're probably past the point of being able to save with some trim coating. You can see the degradation on them. They're not looking the sharper, so this trim, I'm confident we'll be able to get this looking good though. Now we're just doing a couple of things to prepare this. We're using some all-purpose cleaner. So we're using the Clean by Armour Detail here, and just really giving this a deep clean. Then we're neutralising it with our rinseless wash, and then giving it a rinse off with some DI water. So making sure that we've prepped it, much like when you're working on a car and the paint, preparation is the key for it to accept the coating well. We could potentially go and coat this without doing all of these steps, but in terms of the bonding, we're going to get a far better result by actually going through, taking 10 minutes and doing these steps here. So we've got all of the dirt and grime off there. And then it's time to rinse it with some deionized water, give it a final dry, and then ready to start applying the coating.
Right, what's the next step, big boy?
So the next step is we're just going to panel prep. So we've just got some eraser here. You could use any type of panel prep, but this is just making sure that we have it ready to accept the coating. I mean, we've already done a pretty thorough cleaning step. This is our final step. We would do this when we're coating paint on the car. We would also do it if we were coating glass as well, so it shouldn't be any different if we're coating trim.
And then now that this is nice and clean, we'll be able to give you sort of a state of the nation. We'll be able to show you what this sort of looks like before we apply our coating, so you can see like a little bit of a, I don't know, a little bit of a before and after.
A little bit of a before, yeah. You don't want to just coat half the thing.
I can just coat half of it. I mean, I've lived with half of it faded for however long it's been. I keep putting that little rubber seal on there and you keep knocking it off.
Yeah, I know, and I'm trying to not knock my head off with that.
You know what we should have done? We should have just pulled this whole
trim off.
The trim off.
That would have made sense.
You're doing a fantastic job there.
Thank you. Right, I think we're ready to go. Ready to
Okay, so I'll give you a little. Can you see how it's sort of like splotchy, water spotty?
Let's put this down. And you should be able to come over the top and just have a look at the state of it.
So there you go. So Glenn's put the hood down. You can see how it's sort of faded. It's blotchy. it looks like it's been on there for 100 years, and it's basically at the point where you would want to go, oh look, I'm just going to pull this off, I'm going to go buy a new one from the dealership and be done with it. So now that it's all prepped, we'll put our first layer down and show you what it can do. We are all prepped, ready to apply this. So this is so fresh, I haven't even opened the bag. Applicator, that'll be really handy to apply the coating.
I think you've got everything that you need within the kit here. So the actual bottle itself, 50 mils.
Trim Plus. Really nice bottle. I like the frosting. It's a good look, but the problem is you can't see how much coating you've got inside.
Yeah, it's a problem with a lot of modern coatings is they go with these dark bottles with no clear see-through.
But I wonder if the dark colour keeps it more stable.
Yeah, potentially.
Just creates a little bit more shelf life. I'm not sure, but
We've got a removal towel in there as well.
we've got some instructions.
Okay.
Used within 6 months of opening, which is good. So if you're like a high volume shop, you've got a lot of customers coming through and you want to do a coating, you know, time and time again, then you'll get multiple cars out of this with a 6 month shelf life, which is really good. Preparation. Prep is the most important step. Wash the trim and surface using decon soap. Well, we didn't use that. We used their
all-purpose cleaner. I think we've done a pretty thorough clean though.
used tyre cleaner. Well, we didn't use that. We used the clean. But and then we've done the panel prep, and now we're ready for our application. So
Now is this a single or a two coat?
So it says prime the applicator with 3 lines. Apply the trim to the section of the plastic trim at a time. Allow the product to set up for 1 to 2 minutes. In a small circular motion, level the coating using multiple towels, checking for streaks, all that kind of stuff, high spots. Trim was designed as a single layer coating. However, it can be layered for extremely neglected trim.
Will you call your trim extremely neglected?
No,
Okay.
I'd just say neglected.
So we're going to go single coat.
Well, you need to see.
Okay.
So I think you just need to apply it, see what you kind of got, what kind of finish you've got. If you want to go again, then that's up to you, I would say. Dries within a couple of minutes. Allow the product to sit for 4 hours for initial curing time before it gets wet. Do not wash or introduce any chemicals for 24 hours. So we need to prime the pad. 3 lines apparently.
Very similar to that solution finish actually. It's very, very dark. It's almost like a black paint. And then the idea here is this is going to penetrate through the trim, through those pores, and that 1 to 2 minute setup, it should start to absorb into the trim. And in that way, when you're coming along to level it off, you're not removing any of it. Almost looks like you're painting.
Yeah, it's a real dark dye, isn't it? It's almost like it actually feels like you're staining wood.
Okay, yep, because it's quite tacky.
And you sort of want to like moisturize it in, you know.
As you can see there, Glenn hasn't gone and reapplied any of that product, and it is going a really long way. To be fair, you could probably add some extra on there.
I'm at the point where I probably do, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean that's gone a long way. We've almost got half of the trim done. You can see the line there, and that's just off those three lines of the product that Glenn's applied to the applicator pad. So we're going to apply a bit more there. As you can see, heavily stained the pad. This is a throwaway once you're finished. So I think you're going to get an awful long way out of this coating. Really tough to quote in the amount of cars because it all depends on what car you're working on, how much trim you've got. But you're going to get a lot of vehicles out of this. I think that you're probably more inclined to have this expire after the 6 months than actually get through the whole bottle. We're going to try and coat the rubber seal there as well. See what result we get on there. I mean, without leveling it off, it looks fantastic already. Now the recommendation is that we let that set up, so we let it sit on the surface there for 1 to 2 minutes. So we're going to do that and then come along before we head to the second side here. We're not going to get too far ahead of ourselves. We're going to wait for 2 minutes and then we're going to remove the excess off the side of the car. So we're just leveling off now. Oh man, initial impressions, I'm pretty impressed. It's removing a little bit onto the towel, like if you flip that towel up again, Glenn. So we're getting a little bit of excess on there. Nothing too heavy, which means to me that, which tells me that it's penetrating through into the trim pretty well.
I mean, also, it depends on how thirsty your trim is going to be about how much product it's going to want to absorb, right? So if you've got a real dried out piece of trim, then probably it's going to be a bit more thirsty and take a bit more product.
And this trim, this is 20 years old. So this has had 20 years worth of UV damage, oxidization, chemicals that have hit it through the wash process over the years. So as far as, you know, a good test trim goes, this is a pretty good candidate. It's not on a 3 or 4 year old car, it's on a 20-year-old car. 19 years to be fair. 18 actually, you're a 2007, aren't you?
2007, yeah.
So 18-year-old trim. Now we're actually just thinking about the thumbnail for this video and how we'd show this off, but it's probably also going to be a good real life test here. So we have gone and added some tape over the right hand side of the trim there, and we're going to go up to that line and then we're going to be able to peel that off and actually see the one coat difference. What does it look like when we've got a really clear defined line? It's an easy product to apply. But what we have found is for the product that we've removed on the left hand side here, we still do have some of that splotchiness in it. So you would have seen in the before shots that there was splotchiness through this trim, as well as obviously the fading, the oxidization, and leveling off again. And one of the areas that I think you probably want to be careful with here is when you do stop and start with this. So we've got this area here, you can see where we do need a level, but there's a potential that if you overlay too much, you could kind of get that, you know, second coating effect on the bit.
I just think you've got to be careful about blending areas, right?
Yep, correct.
And so if you can, my advice is just to do one big section, like you'd do this all in one go probably, just to limit that. But I think it's blended all right. I think we've done a pretty reasonable job there at covering that. Yeah,
I think if you leave that sit for too long, you could potentially encounter that issue, or you go really heavy with your application in that bit, but no, you can barely see that now that Glenn's leveled that out. And then just leveling out up until that tape line, and then we'll be able to pull that tape off and really show the difference that it has made to the richness of the trim there.
All right, so I've leveled that all off, so we've done basically 3/4 of this, so I'm just going to show you what the 50-50 looks like.
So pretty evident on the video there that it has increased the richness of the black there. What it hasn't done, and it's probably asking a lot of the product, is a lot of the splotchiness that we had in that trim there is still pretty evident. But in terms of the richness of it, we've got this in the way here, but if we pull that back, you can see pretty clearly which side has had trim applied to it and which hasn't.
One thing I did notice is that when you come up to trim where it's adjoined to like some body panels or some glass, it is actually really easy to remove that from those other areas, which is quite nice. So you know you want to get up nice and close, that just wipe nice and freely off the glass. So that's a really good positive, so that you don't have to be too careful when you're getting close to other areas. So yes, it's done a pretty decent job at richening, getting some blackness back into the faded trim. What we really need to see now is some longevity of this product. How long does it keep that plastic looking rich for? Is it a couple of weeks? Is it a couple of months? Can we get a year or so out of it? So we need to take this car out into the elements. We're going to try that out. We're not going to give you the answers in the video because it's going to take however long it's going to take before we can give you some feedback. But that's it from Omni Garage. Thanks for watching. This was a really quick and easy video about how you apply Armour Detail Supply Trim Plus. So thank you once again to Armour Detail Supply for setting out that product, and give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and write some comments about what your favourite trim restorer is or any pros and cons that you've had with using this product. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.